Hey, what's going on? So in this video, we're going to be discussing how to turn leads into clients using the power of AI. So there's very little manual effort. You're not having to waste money on a sales team or VAs to do this work for you. It's 2025. The future is now. So if you're not using technology in your business, now is really the time to start because that's what's going to be what sets you apart from your competitors. The ability to understand and integrate technologies to beat them out. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of having systems like this is to increase efficiency. If you're no longer worried about how to convert leads into clients because you have a system in place for that, you can focus on more revenue generating factors like taking on more sales calls, driving up your ad spend because you have leads coming to the door, and hiring in house team members to assist on your current client delivery so that you can take on even more clients. And then, as you can imagine, if you're increasing your ad spend, you have systems in place to book leads on a sales calls for you, and better yet, you have closers in place to close those sales calls. All you're doing now is focusing internally on your business while your systems in place, team members, your entire fleet of infrastructure for top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel are all streamlined. So it's literally as efficient as humanly possible, or better yet, as technologically possible. So just to kind of give some high level theory, this is a client acquisition flywheel, and essentially what we're looking at is when you run paid traffic over to your high ticket offer, you capture leads information, you can then go after that lead with SMS, email, phone marketing. There's so many different ways now that you have their information, you can reach out to them. On top of that, once we've got their information, push them over to a sales page to try to qualify them, nurture the lead, get them to know who you are, what exactly you're selling, the problem that you're looking to solve, push them to actually want to book a sales call with you. Timeline can be instantaneous if you have a really good funnel, or oftentimes you'll be able to hook leads after the fact, in which you can hit them up and warm them, nurture them over several weeks to try to push them onto your offer. And then eventually you'll close cash collected. Now, assuming this is a high ticket offer, you can use some of that money to directly reinvest back in ad spend. And then at that point, it really just becomes a numbers game. Let's say you get a $9,000 client cash collected, you allocate 4.5 thousand back in ad traffic, assuming you get another $9,000 client, you're just continuing to do 2x returns. And see, a lot of people these days, specifically in the high ticket industry, are kind of getting spoiled. Imagine you're a trader and you trade, you put in $4.5 thousand and you get $9,000 back. So that's a fucking amazing trade. People are going to 2x all day. Whereas, in the online space, people are looking at it so differently because they're scared to spend upfront because at the end of the day, there's no guarantee with ads. And that's the big risk that you have to take. Obviously, you can kind of avert the risk or decrease the likelihood of it really being a risk by being more strategic, being very data driven, and understanding the market. But what I'm getting at is you'll have to spend that money up front with no true guarantee that you'll get it back, right? But in retrospect, any type of multiplier is truly impressive. Again, when you're comparing like an industry like the stock market, if you're making trades like that, you're considered very good at what you do. And it really applies here as well. And so the creator market and the online space in general is like hundreds of billions of dollars. So because of that, it's really not that crazy or far fetched that you're able to do these numbers. I think in time, it's definitely going to become a lot more competitive. But at the same time, with that, there's going to be a lot more people out there willing to buy stuff. So it's give and a take. There's always going to be a market for this. There's always going to be competition, but don't let that discourage you because at the end of the day, everyone that's currently successful got there because they actually fucking started. Okay, so pulling away from the high level theory, sorry, I know I can yap. So what you're looking at now is how we're currently able to generate leads using our systems. What I mean by that is we're using AI text agents, AI email agents, and AI voice agents. Using this method, we're literally able to turn cold prospects into new leads, nurture those leads, push them over to book a call with us, in which we promote them to a sales call, in which we get cash collected, brand new client. Now, if you're new to this channel, I often talk about AI-driven sales fulfillment systems. It is the future, it is taking over, and it's completely undercut the cost of having to pay an appointment setter or an entire sales team. When an AI sales agent is literally able to handle hundreds, thousands of conversations simultaneously, it's always going to beat out a human from an efficiency standpoint. So I know you're probably thinking, Scott, yeah, I get you're using AI, but how are you actually leveraging it in order to generate your leads and actually make clients out of them? So at the top of the funnel, basically what we're doing is running ads, right? And Pixel is going to be so essential for everything I'm going to discuss here, but we're running ads, pushing our traffic over to an opt-in page, showing them our offer, and then based on if they qualify or not, they'll put in their information. For anyone that doesn't put in information, cool, we didn't want them anyway, bye, you're not qualified. For anyone that does put in information, perfect, we're going to promote them over to the VSL, and then we're also going to tell our MetaPixel to optimize for more people like this that qualified and actually got promoted over to the VSL. And now that we have their information from this opt-in, this also greens light our first interaction using AI-driven sequences. So we've got their name, email, phone number at this point. So we're going to be sending them an email drip sequence to just try to warn them. If and when a lead does try to reply to our email drip sequence, we have a net essentially, which is an AI appointment setter that's going to pick up that email reply and then shoot them a reply back with like a new subject title, just so that lead is handled, right? But really, the big driver here for actually invoking a conversation using this AI driven method is going to be through an SMS channel or WhatsApp channel if it's international. It really just depends the use case. But with this AI driven drip sequence, what we're doing is we're not doing anything super salesy or super annoying. In fact, I often mask these for my clients so it seems like it's them behind the scenes or one of their assistants doing this for them. From a sales rapport standpoint, if a lead thinks that they're talking to a human behind the scenes, it's going to be a lot more likely that we're able to convert that lead onto a sales call or actually purchase what they're selling. So we'll do a few touch points, really simple follow ups, trying to be very human like, intentionally writing things out like only humans would, except it's an AI behind the scenes doing it. If and when a lead does reply to one of our initial drips, then the AI appointment center actually jumps in, attempts to have a conversation with them, and then if that conversation drops off, the AI will be hounding them, reaching out, trying to get them to continue the conversation and push them towards that sales objective. Now, back over to the VSL, what we're going to do here is pre-qualify them. It really depends the offer you're going for, but what I'm a big believer in is almost making the VSL the first phase of the sales call, meaning, just lay it all out on the line, and then that way a lot of your sales calls and bookings that you're going to get in are going to be a lot more straightforward because you're not having to continually restate everything over and over and over again on a sales call when, a lot of the pre-qualification, pre-education, understanding of your services and what they're looking to get into is all stated within the actual VSL. Now, assuming a lead watched the VSL, they were pre-sold, they're still down to purchase, and then we're going to qualify them a little more with some more specific questions on who you're really looking for to take on as a client. And then if they do get promoted over to actually book a call with us, in which we'll present the calendar, this is another trigger in which we will train our pixel on. In fact, I usually prefer to train pixels on call bookings rather than just VSL visits. Now, over to call booking, the lead has now made it to the calendar page. They've booked in, bada bing, bada boom. So we'll send them to a thank you page just to continue to warm them. A great thing to do on these thank you pages is going to be to push your YouTube or push an additional video. Again, we're just trying to get this lead to absorb as much information about you and about your business model as possible, show them testimonials, really just to educate them on what you got going on. So again, it's a straightforward sales call. Like I talked to one of my fellow marketers recently, and he had a sales call, and the lead didn't even know really too much of the scope of what he was selling. He was selling his copywriting services, and he does like, funnel copywriting for people. And the lead thought he was hopping on a call to get his copywriting course and learn how to become a copywriter. But he was like, no, I'm trying to copywrite for people. And the guy's like, oh, I'm trying to do that too. And so there was just a lot of confusion there. But at the end of the day, that could have been prevented if this guy was more clear on like, hey, I'm looking to do copywriting for you. You know what I mean? So anyways, so back to it. When a lead books in, it's so important to be sending them reminders, different touch points in order to actually get some accountability going, I guess is the best way to put it. So SMS reminders, email reminders, 24 hours out, an hour out, something like that. As far as the exact time, it can definitely vary, but at least a 24-hour one out. And then assuming that they may need to prepare a little bit for the call or there's a pre-call video they have to watch, make sure to drop it here as well. But here's just a few examples, just like an email reminder. And then here's like just a couple SMS reminders. Like, again, I'm not really reinventing the wheel here. Something like this is pretty straightforward. But what you can do to take it a step further, it's something I'm doing for one of my new clients that's in the health industry. So I'm configuring a post booking SMS AI agent, and their whole job is to pretend like it's one of the actual employees of the business. And it's a very brief, subtle touch point, but it's like, hey, I'm just reaching out to make sure you're actually going to be at the call. Really looking forward to it. Just text me back to make sure that you're in, and I'll get everything prepared for you. And, it seems very human like. And most post booking follow ups are going to be like, hey, client, here's the link at this time. So it's obvious that it's an automation. You're likely not going to respond to that. So if you're one of those people for your business, you really need verbal confirmation or written confirmation from these people in order for them to actually show up and really help increase your show up rate. That's a great way to do it. And then, of course, pushing them to the call, and then you're either going to close them or you're going to not close them. If you close them, obviously, then you're going to onboard. But if you don't close them, then I'd recommend sending them into a 7-day follow up sequence and or also doing a long-term warming sequence, because some of these leads may have been interested in your services, may have thought it was great, but it came down to a financial issue. And at the end of the day, we're not looking to decrease our prices for the sake of fitting the mold of what they're looking for, because then that devalues our own services that we're going for, right? So you can get away with reviving a dead lead by essentially not making them dead at all, because they'll continue to be within your ecosystem, getting your newsletters, getting your email sequences. Or another great thing to do, if you have like a crazy win, you can kind of package it, tell a little bit of story on how that client came to you and how you kind of converted them and made them into a winning client for whatever that may be. If you're a fitness coach, it's going to be, I helped this client lose a bunch of weight. Or if you're a fellow marketer like me, in my instance, what I'll do is I'll send out a email and I'll be like, hey, look how I completely automated this client's business using the power of AI. So from A to Z, all he has to do is post his ads, hop on sales calls. I completely offloaded the process, and I'll explain a little bit of how I actually got it done, and then be like, hey, if you want to see more of it for yourself, book a call with me. And here's another case study application. So this is for my client Sharon. He's a financial literacy guru, and so this is a look into a CRM. The notable thing, so on launch, what we were doing is promoting his masterclass. He had a low ticket paid masterclass. People pay to join it, in which they learn financial tips. In this instance, we were specifically hosting a masterclass on trading. So one of his team members, Shashank, was the one that was leading it. So I positioned the AI so it looked like it was Shashank within the DMs and promoting his trading masterclass. And Shashank is actually a master trader himself. And as you can see here, we even were trying to verify with leads that he actually walks the walk. So we were showing P&L statements, we were showing screenshots of some of his results, and this went a long way with actually convincing the leads, all right, this may be something worthwhile to put up money for. And then once we had leads into this ecosystem that they put up money for, as far as buyer psychology also goes, it's a shoe in the door method in order to get them to purchase something a little more expensive. And so on this masterclass, the upsell was then getting them to get lifetime access to, the whole 9 yards. And that's the more higher ticket item, in which they had sales guys to actually close those leads, right? So we were funneling the AI to actually push all this traffic over into the masterclass for that upsell. And it literally all started on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We were doing a DM campaign to invoke leads to actually message us in the DMs, and then also had Instagram organic traffic coming in from comment DM CTAs. And then I had integrated an AI appointment setter within their social media channels to actually converse with these leads, drop the link to the 1% Club Masterclass landing page. What's awesome is within 2 days of launching this ad campaign with the AI appointment setter backend, we'd only spent 200 USD worth of ad spend, and we converted 32 leads into paying clients on this masterclass. And this was out of a sample size of 300 leads. And if you imagine, a lot of leads were window shoppers. So the fact that we're able to convert 32 of that 300 is a pretty decent conversion rate for this. And the fact that we're able to convert 32 leads onto this paid masterclass, and I'll show more here in a second, but just to kind of jump the gun, 32 leads onto this masterclass, low ticket, we already got cash collected. And then on a 30% close rate, assuming only 8 of those guys actually put up money to join the full thing, that's $8,000 cash collected, which is huge. Another thing to note, I'm talking in terms of USD, but this company is Indian based. So 8,000 USD goes a lot longer over there. But because of that, also a big issue that they were having is just the ability in order to land a high ticketer, because finding leads that can afford services like this in India can be very tricky. So that's definitely a reason for the conversion rate of about 3%. But, at the end of the day, we were still able to make money and make it work. And a big part of it was, the low ticket step up. The reason I'm saying all this is because even here domestically, these same principles apply. By having a low ticket barrier of entry for people to actually put up a little bit of money in order to see more about it, that will naturally filter out a lot of broke leads that are not even willing to put up like fucking $5, $10 for something, right? So you're now working with people that are at least willing. So now if you can imagine with that sample size of people that put up money initially, it's a lot easier to actually sell them on a higher ticket product. So going back to this, we had 200 USD worth of ad spend, 300 leads collected, in which they were all talking with the AI sales agent. If lead didn't respond, then we were following up with these leads. We had a really good reply rate though, because these were inbound leads that were messaging us first. So, they already had the initial encounter. So we had the authority here. There was no response. Like I said, we would follow up with them, and then we were qualifying leads just a little bit. The thing about the master classes, anyone can be a trader, right? So it was really about gauging interest to see if it was something that I actually want to do. And then we would propose and be like, hey, here it is, drop the link, and then they would book in. And then any qualified lead, of course, would train our metapixel. Any disqualified lead, we'd just send to the void. Yeah, then once again, this was our conversation flow that was taking place. Super awesome. And then just to show you guys a backend, I want to show you guys another example of my personal AI appointment setter. So what you're looking at now is my backend, right? And so when new leads are coming from social media specifically, I have them denoted in a new lead section, and I have a trigger set up so the AI will wait a few hours before reaching out. And again, I really am a fan of creating the illusion of it being a human. So by having intentional wait stages, or even for some of my clients that don't want to message leads too late, I'll set a trigger, and so the AI will reply instantly. Although if it's like past midnight, it'll chill out until it's 7 a.m. and then it'll green light that response, pick it up where you left off. So it looks like the AI, took time to sleep. But again, it's variable because I also work with clients and they're like, no, 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 we got to hit the lead while they're hot. And so we're just no wait stage. We're just hitting leads up. As soon as they reply, we're sending a message back. It definitely varies based off the use case, but that's just why I love the beauty of AI and technology, because if you can think it, we can set this up. It's awesome. So back to this, if and when the wait stage does get satisfied, then the AI will actually reach out. If the lead doesn't respond, then we're going to be hitting them with follow-ups. If and when the lead does respond, they'll be put in the talking with AI section. And this is essentially just where the AI is chopping it up. If and when the call gets proposed, we'll denote them in the call proposed section. And the reason I have the talking with AI call proposed, or with some clients, if there's another point of conversation that's pretty significant, I like to include it in here because this allows us to optimize for drop offs, right? Meaning, when is a lead ghosting us? Why are they ghosting us? And then we can edit the conversation flow to push past this and help increase conversion rate over to actual booked appointments, as you see here. And then I've also got a no response after follow ups bank, and those are our dead leads that we can try to revive at a later date. But now, if you can imagine, if you got a lead list and you web scraped, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 leads, it's so easy to just plug them into the system, sit back, and then just watch the metrics live happen right in front of you. So this is coming from a lead that inquired for one of my ad campaigns. We sent them over some information, and then they're like, "Hey, I want to hear more about this." So the AI jumped in, said, "Perfect. You open to seeing how this works on all channels? Blah blah blah. Sure. What does it cost?" And then as you can see, we're doing price objection handling. This is just basic sales tactics at this point. And it's funny, she's even complaining about the AI within Go High Level. Again, if you're new here, I do not do AIs within Go High Level because they're extremely limited. I do custom builds using Make.com, OpenAI, N8N, VAPI AI, all sorts of different programs. But the point is that way we get the cheapest cost per result as far as the message that gets generated, and we're able to take things to the next level and do so much more automations to actually play around with leads. And sometimes leads will just be very brief, very dry in conversation. So the AI, does its best to continue conversation flow. In this instance, we had shot her a calendar booking. She didn't book in yet, so sent her a follow up the next day. She actually booked in off this one. But this is just to go to show, even when a lead maybe talks at first but then gets dry, the AI still tries to keep leading questions going to continue the conversation towards that sales objective. And then here's a couple other AI appointment setter integrations that I configured for some brick and mortar businesses over SMS. As you can see, these are just aiming to book leads onto a sales call. Super straightforward. What's great is that from a marketing standpoint, a lot of business owners, they're looking for something oddly specific, simple, straight to the point. So even for a lot of you beginners that are looking to get in the marketing game, there's really room for you because, an integration like this is very simple. And oftentimes, if I'm working with a new client, I'll build out something like this and then I'll try to upsell them or take the next level and be like, hey, this is really just the beginning. If you want, entire automated system, or if you want some bells and whistles to do this and that for you, I can set that up. And that's really where the money's made. Sometimes you can get a shoe in the door with clients, get them on something basic like just an AI appointment setter build, and then you can eventually get them on entire infrastructure. And it's mutualistic because it's not even like you're trying to price scalp them or anything, because they're going to be making a direct revenue return from everything that you're doing for them. So it's very mutualistic. And then here's just another conversation example for one of my fitness coaches. I'll just quickly scroll through this. You can pause it and read it for yourself. But we're qualifying leads. He had a big issue with broke people showing up, or people that were kind of just wasting his time or maybe weren't that motivated to actually get a fix going. So he was just really making sure, like, hey, in the next 12 weeks, what are you looking for? Scale of 1 to 10. Are you sure you want to do this? So his sales calls were a lot more pre-qualified, straight to the point. But yeah, guys, that's all from me. I hope you found this video insightful, learned a little something. And if you're an online business owner currently above $10,000 a month, my team is currently guaranteeing we can get you 10 new high-ticket clients into your business within the next 90 days, integrating our AI sales fulfillment system so that from A to Z, we're able to turn cold prospects into high-ticket clients in your business. Now, if you want to hear more about how we're able to give this guarantee of 10 new high-ticket clients, go and click the link down below and book in a rundown call with me and my team, and I'll show you exactly how we're able to get this done. And on that note, I'll see you on the next video.